And the general consensus, I think, is that the younger you are, the more likely you are to set goals.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coffee Talks. I'm Michael, this is Cara, and we are chatting all things health and wellness. We're talking training, nutrition, performance and lifestyle, and today we are talking about
goals. Just
We
the
are.
white colour.
We are talking about goals, not the kind you score on a football pitch,
Nah.
but the kind that you set for yourself.
Yeah. So this is off the back of our previous episode, which was habits. So what we kind of put out at the end was that rather than thinking about habits in the sense of good habits and bad habits, we said which habits, practices, routines either take you closer or take you away from your goals. But then that sort of made us think, well, does everybody set a goal? What types of goals do people set? And should everybody set goals? So we put that question out to a couple of people, various stages of their life, different sort of, what would you say?
Just on different journeys, really.
Just on different journeys, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. So we put that question out to them to see what they thought about goals and whether they set them and whether they think they are important.
And initially when we did do that, I thought it was totally ridiculous because Cara was the one that asked the question, do you think everyone sets goals? And in my head I was like, yes, obviously. Simply because it's something that I've always done for myself. Like I'm just driven by results and seeing change over time. So I was sort of like, well, yeah, obviously everybody is wired like that, but apparently everybody is not. So Cara responded with, do you reckon your dad sets goals? And it got me thinking. I was like, I actually don't know. Now he does because he ran a marathon before he was 50, right?
Yeah.
So that was a big goal. But he was the first person I texted, and I wanna read his response, not word for word. But when I asked my dad, do you set goals and do you think it's important? He just said, I don't really, to be honest. And then he says, but setting goals isn't a bad thing if you want to achieve something or make a difference in your life or to yourself. And so that's probably a pretty good place to start. I think Dad was maybe one of the kind of older people that I asked, and I asked a few younger people as well. I asked my brother, I asked a couple of friends, and the general consensus, I think, is that the younger you are, the more likely you are to set goals.
Yeah. That was why I said straight away I thought of your dad.
Yeah.
Because kind of thought of him as someone, maybe a little bit older, who maybe as in his younger days maybe did. And then I sort of think that potentially this is maybe just a preconceived idea, but as you're starting to like build yourself and build your career, then yes, you're setting goals, but once you maybe get to a certain point, do you stop doing that, and why? And does it maybe make you become stagnant within your life? And do you, I don't know, not struggle for purpose, but maybe struggle for motivation, or just maybe do you come to a point where you think goals aren't really relevant for you anymore? So I thought that was an interesting question to put out there. And
so perfect. You kind of touched on probably two things that I was going to say as well, were kind of around the importance of setting goals and the fact that goals give you a direction and they also kind of give you some motivation, because you're working towards something, so you know, if that's my goal, I've got to put in actionable steps to take me towards that. And so if your goal is to run a marathon, you got to start running, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you start from nothing, you're probably going to run a 5k first, and then you're going to run a 10k, and then a half marathon, and then you're going to run a marathon. So if you decide, let's say, even to take that one further, if you decide to run a marathon next summer, and at Christmas time you're still sitting on your backside doing absolutely nothing, like that is taking you away from that goal, and so you're kind of deviating off the path. So yeah, I mean, setting goals for me is a great idea because it gives you a direction and something to aim towards. And there are many different types of goals. So that one, as an example, you can put a time limit on a goal, you can put a result on a goal, you can make goals that are kind of habit based. And I think to build on kind of our previous episode as well, I guess we should probably look at those kind of habit goals a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing that is applicable for the day to day, and that you can, I don't know, just it kind of takes a bit of a step back and it kind of zooms the lens in a little bit.
Yeah.
And sometimes goals can be intimidating when you put something big out there saying that you want to do it. Then you can almost be too scared to take that first step because of you think I'll never get to there. So I think looking at the daily habits, routines, practices is probably what you should start with first, where you should go back to immediately as soon as you set that first big goal.
And interesting you say that, because I'm probably a details kind of guy, so I like to know how things work. I like to know what kind of the processes are and all that sort of thing. So I know for me personally, in the past, if I've set big, massive, scary goals, chances are I probably haven't achieved it. And it's because exactly what you say, I almost get intimidated by like how big that thing is. And that's for me. I'm the sort of person that likes to say, all right, today I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then I'm going to repeat that tomorrow. So like habit goals, for example, to make it really simple, like drinking 2 liters of water every day. Like that's just a goal that I try to do every single day. And that's the sort of thing then that becomes a habit.
Yeah.
But there's so many examples of that, I think, day to day as well, just like in your training or in your nutrition. Like every day I'm gonna do 10,000 steps, every day I'm gonna move for half an hour or an hour, and like you build on that sort of thing.
Because you're shaping then a character, and you're shaping like a person who becomes more disciplined.
Yeah.
So if you're not able to stick to something like drinking 2 liters of water a day, then how are you going to be disciplined enough to be able to go and do whatever that big thing is that you really want to achieve?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And some of the other kind of obstacles that I know personally that have sort of put me off in the past, not put me off, but I suppose got in my way, stuff like procrastination. I am the biggest procrastinator. It's true. Like if you give me a big task and you tell me when it has to be done by, I'm probably gonna cram it all in last minute. I'm just the sort of person that goes, it's fine, we'll get there, as opposed to taking those small steps and getting there. So procrastination is something for me that I suppose kind of derails my goals. And you know what's coming next. Is there anything any obstacles you think for you that kind of would get in the way of your goals?
You'll maybe have an answer for this as well for me. Do you?
No, don't think so.
I think probably one that most people could probably relate to as well is just either fear of judgment from other people, and fear of failure.
Yeah.
Fear of judgment, probably because if you're putting it out there publicly to say this is what I want to achieve, I think a lot of people fear people turning around to them and saying, why on earth do they think that, who are they to say that they can do that kind of thing, you know?
That's such a Northern Irish thing though as well.
I know.
Where we're just like, if we're not humble, someone will humble us.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is kind of cultural as well.
Yeah. And yeah, the fear of failure, of course, that's a pretty normal one, I think. But then, that whole thing of what you learn in the process, and that's where the goal is, you know, within the process and who you become within that, rather than actually reaching that destination. So even though you mightn't get to the very end thing, which we know that whenever you get to that end thing, most people don't just stop there. Like when you reach that big goal that you said that you wanted to, you're all immediately going, what's next? And I don't think we're ever satisfied as people, or maybe again that's just me and my mindset and that's how I'm wired. But maybe for other people it's like as soon as they tick a box they can just leave it
switch
there.
off.
Yeah, maybe.
So give us an example of, you know, for you achieving a goal, and then.
Well, I guess the big one for me was always that ever since I was young, I wanted to be a professional athlete. Like that's what I saw myself doing as a job. Not a details person, so I didn't go like, how am I gonna get there? I just sort of said that like I would, and I was happy for that to be in whatever sport, and that's just because I enjoyed all sport, and I think I was just happy to whatever it was. If I was as a professional athlete, I'd be satisfied, I'd be happy. But now that I'm here, I mean, I still have goals now to set, because yes, you're playing at a professional level, but there's still higher to go. There's still higher levels. I can still be better. I'm not the best version of myself as an athlete yet, and I believe there's still more potential, more to achieve, because when I look at people performing at a higher level, I think, right, they're better than me. But could I get to there? Could I be as good as that, or could I be better than that?
Amazing, I love that. And so that's a cool thing as well, is like you know, seeing your progress over time, you know, and seeing, I guess, where you started, you know, where you get to, and ultimately where you end up as well. And I think one of the big things, and this is super important, is, you know, marking that progress and actually celebrating it as well. You know, because it's very easy, as you say, like, okay, you've got to the place where you're, you know, a professional athlete now, you're a professional footballer, and then you're the sort of person that looks to the next thing, as opposed to going, hang on a minute, like, this is amazing. Like, look at the work that I've put in, look at the work that, you know, my family and my coaches and all that have invested in me, and taking a moment and actually, you know, marking that. I think that's a really cool thing with goals as well, to just mark it, really celebrate it. And so I guess that kind of leads us pretty well to one for the road.
Yes.
So if you've listened to the last kind of couple of episodes, there's a coffee shop that we like to go to back home, and when you got a takeaway coffee, there's always a stamp on it that said one for the road. And it's just, it's a takeaway. And so we don't want these episodes to just be us chatting, you listening, and then nothing kind of coming off the back of it. We do want you to kind of do work on yourselves. Yeah,
put it into your context. Obviously we have a context within which we are speaking and operating from, but we want you to take that into your daily context. It doesn't have to be sporting, which I think is the big thing, you know, like family life, professional goals as well, and just, you know, who you want to become as a person. So it doesn't always have to be within that training and sporting context as well, I guess. And
again, to kind of go back to what we said earlier, like, you know, you don't always have to set this big, massive, scary goal. Like, you know, your goals can be so simple. You know, as even taking that family one, you know, can you spend an extra 15 minutes with your kids in the evening, like where you're just more present, where, you know, you're just switched on to them, like things like that make such a difference in the grand scheme of things. So that's for you to kind of figure out. Are there things that you can kind of set your eyes on that you know will improve you long term, and then let us know how you get on.
Brilliant.
See you next time.
See ya.
We couldn't call this Coffee Talks and then not reference coffee somewhere in the episode. Every month we're going to tell you what we're drinking and why we think you should drink it too.
This month's featured coffee is from Process, a roaster based in Belfast, which we love. They say follow Process for your daily dose of rad brew guides, coffee expertise and entertainment.
having just moved to England, it's really nice to bring a little piece of home with us. So head to process.coffee and check out their coffee, check out their merch, and get involved.